welcome back to Mark My Words, Episode 3, Week 2 recap and Week 3 predictions with Rob.
And Scott.
And we will be breaking down everything that happened in Week 2, as well as Week 3's exciting action. We have some good matchups again. I don't think there's going to be a bad matchup all year in the NFL. Seems like every team is really good this year. So it's going to be endless 18 weeks of madness. And we're going to get right into the game that happened last night on TV, if you can call it a game. Bills and Titans. Bills demolishing the Titans 41-7. Crazy atmosphere, and finally getting their gut punch to the team that has had their number the past couple years. So a good revenge game for the Bills.
As a Bills fan, absolutely fun to watch that game. The Bills really took it to him. Stephon Diggs, absolutely incredible performance. 148 yards, 3 touchdowns. Allen with over 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. And they were all pulled out before the fourth quarter even started.
Yeah, think about that. That's a 3-quarter stat line for all those guys. I mean, sorry to any fantasy owners who had them and were thinking, oh yeah, I'm breaking the high score in my league this year. Oh wait, they're sitting there, guys. But I think they did more than their fair share for your team. I know they won. They probably won your game, right?
Both your leagues. Stephon Diggs definitely won me a couple games.
Yeah.
Fantasy.
Crazy. I mean, I love that Diggs-Allen connection. I feel like they kind of lost that a little bit towards the end of last year, but it's right back where it was to begin. And not a loss of production at all in the Bills passing game without Gabe Davis there. Could not even tell.
Still just able to turn to almost anybody. Jake Kumerow, Reggie Gilliam, Mackenzie Knox, everybody getting involved there, and just a really cool game.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thing when one of your big targets goes down. It's like in the long run, it probably doesn't benefit you, but in the short term like this, you don't really know who's going to be the second target in this case after Diggs.
And going back to the offseason, I was a big proponent of the Bills drafting another wide receiver early, or picking one up in free agency. So if Davis is out any type of long term, maybe we'll see how that works out. But it worked out pretty well in this one game.
Yeah, and hey, Odell Beckham's still available, so.
Yeah. But I mean, you come in with these sky high expectations that the Bills did, and did they somehow exceed them to this point?
I think they have. I mean, they came right out in Week 1 and smacked the Rams Super Bowl championship in their stadium, 31-10, and then they come and just demolish the Titans, 41-17. That's like what, combined score of like 72-17 in their 2 games they played.
Yeah, just crazy.
It's incredible. That is insane. I mean that's incredible, and it's not like they were running up the score in this one. You know, like a lot of that damage was they didn't score anything in the fourth, so that was 3 quarters just blowing the Titans away. So, I mean, that's a mark of a good team right there, when you can blow a team away like that. But the close ones as well, can they win those? So they got, some good games coming up. The Dolphins, Ravens, Steelers, and then the big one, the Chiefs. So they'll definitely get tested more as the road goes down. But playing 2 very formidable teams in the first 2 weeks and doing very well against them. Really nothing stood in their way.
Absolutely.
And then we got my favorite team. We got the Packers also having their way with the Chicago Bears. It's a great thing to see that we still own them very much. And 27-10 the final score there. Really happy to see this from the Packers. Kind of a get-right game after the Week 1 disaster, which I wasn't surprised by at all. You had Aaron Rodgers throwing for 234 yards and 2 touchdowns. Sammy Watkins showing some flashes, almost 100 yards receiving. But the real story here was the run game, and Aaron Jones racking up over 150 yards combined with 2 touchdowns, and A.J. Dillon getting 61 yards on the ground. Just pure domination for the Packers in the run game against the Bears.
And while I was watching that game, it seemed like every time you looked, the Packers' run game was just gashing the Bears.
Yeah.
As they just marched down the field with their run game.
And it makes it so much easier for Rodgers and the receivers. And like a lot of the analysts, and other fans are saying that we need to get the young guys more targets and catches, but I think just being out on the field and just seeing, how the offense is running is going to help them, substantially. I don't think you need to be targeting them every game for them to continue to improve. And, at the end of the day, it's about winning games. And if throwing to, Randall Cobb and Robert Tonyan is going to help you win games over throwing to Dobbs and Watson, by all means, throw to those guys.
100%.
It's a win now year for the Packers with Aaron Rodgers on his $50 million a year contract. So
they're going to do whatever it takes to get it done. And this week they got it done. Definite good right game, just as I said in our last episode.
Yeah. The Bears are the team that we really have not struggled with at all. I mean, like a lot of division rivals facing inferior teams like Colts and Jaguars, they just seem to have trouble for whatever reason, and not the case with the oldest rivalry in the NFL. Another interesting thing I saw from the Packers is their defensive pass rush was just amazing. Preston Smith, one of the most underrated pass rushers in the game. I noticed last year his speed improved substantially. I don't know if anyone else noticed that, but he really gets after the quarterbacks. He has 9 sacks in his last 10 chances, so that's kind of when you break through the line, get to the quarterback, counts as a chance, and he's sacked the quarterback 9 out of his last 10 times in getting a chance, so kind of a cool stat there.
Yeah, really good percentage there.
Yeah. But very excited about what the Packers showed. It was completely what I expected their offense to be. I think that is like how they want to run their offense, and they were able to do so. All right, and now buying it or denying it. So a lot of crazy things happened last week. Some people have some overreactions, some knee-jerk reactions, but some of them could be true. So Scott, are you buying it or denying it? So here we go. So Matt Ryan starting off real slow with the Colts. They're 0-1-1, 0 wins in 2 weeks after some high expectations. So Matt Ryan looking absolutely horrible. Has 4 interceptions in his first 2 games. Some people are saying that he is washed. Are you buying it or denying it?
Well, for this one, I think I'm going to have to be buying it to start. I don't want to, but I can't deny it right now. So I'm going to have to be buying it.
So you're not feeling confident that old Matty Ice can turn things around there?
I mean, a lot of injuries in week 2. I mean, 60% completion percentage.
Ugh.
Not good at all.
No.
And the 4 interceptions. I mean, and the 2 teams they played, well, Jacksonville and Houston.
Terrible teams.
They should easily have been able to take care of business in those.
Yeah.
And they haven't been. I mean, only 1 touchdown for him throughout those 2 games as well.
You got to beat your division teams. Got to beat them. Those are important games.
I mean, I know both Rob and I had much bigger expectations for Matt Ryan than what he has done so far.
Yeah. And
you don't want to overact, but right now I'll have to buy that he's more washed than we believed.
All right. Buying it or denying it. So Tua and the Dolphins rally to beat the Ravens in one of the best comebacks you'll ever see. Tua throwing for 469 yards and 6 touchdowns as the Dolphins just crush the hearts of all Ravens fans. So are the Dolphins legitimate Super Bowl contenders? Are you buying it or denying it?
I will be denying it.
Oh.
They have definitely cemented in my mind that they are going to be playoff contenders in the AFC, but I don't think they're near Super Bowl contenders yet. I'm not willing to put them in that conversation. Really was an incredible game, and just insane stat lines from Tua, Jalen Waddle, and Tyreek Hill. Really just incredible. But I'll have to deny that they're legitimate Super Bowl contenders.
And what do you think you need to see? Like, what do you think they need to prove in order for you to consider them, Super Bowl worthy, or at least closer than where they are now? Do you think a win against Buffalo this week would put them in that category?
Oh, absolutely. That would be a huge litmus test for Miami.
If
they could beat Buffalo, I think they'd have to be in that conversation at that point.
Oh, for sure.
But for this week, we're going to be denying it.
Yeah. All right. So Cincinnati and the Ravens both dropped games this week. The Bengals are 0-2, the defending AFC champions. So are the Browns, even though they did drop a game to the Jets, when Deshaun Watson comes back, are they the best team? And without Deshaun Watson, Are they the best team in that division? Buying it or denying it?
I'll be denying it.
Oh,
So I'll throw a little mark my words in here right now. Mark my words. I still believe Cincinnati will win that division.
oh, bold. They looked bad. They looked real bad. A Dakless Cowboys and what you say is a pretty bad Steeler team.
Yes.
So, but you
Yeah,
still.
some bad losses, but mark my words that the Bengals will turn around and they will win that division. And with the Ravens 1-1, Browns 1-1, they definitely have some chances. But coming back to this, are the Browns the best roster? I do believe the Browns have a good roster,
Yeah, I've loved their roster these last few years.
and I would have loved them as a pick for maybe their division, and especially being contenders in the AFC playoffs if they had Deshaun Watson the whole year.
Yeah, oh for sure. That would have been fun to see that. Really duking it out with Lamar Jackson. That would have been some fun QB battles. All right, so moving on to the Chiefs, who have probably, maybe after the Bills, been the most impressive team so far. So some fans are saying that they're actually better off without Tyreek Hill. Are you buying it or denying it?
I will be buying it.
I had a feeling you'd say that.
Yes, I previously had this take early in the offseason that I liked the Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver core more this year than I did last year with Tyreek Hill. They're not better because they don't have Tyreek Hill. They're just better because there's such more well-rounded group.
Yeah,
I mean, with Nico Hardman, MVS, Juju Smith-Schuster, and even Kelsey still somewhere in there. They're just really good choices all around. Sky Moore as well, the rookie. I like Kansas City's wide receiver core more than I did last year.
yeah, I agree too. And I don't think we're slamming Tyreek Hill. It's not knocking him. It's just like they have a lot of talent, and now you can really get to see all of it, as opposed to Tyreek Hill, who demands, like 10 to 12 targets a game.
Absolutely.
So you're really getting to see, and I think you'll really get to see just how good Patrick Mahomes is this year. I mean, he's already, we all know he's fantastic, but just kind of, it's not just a big 50-yard bomb that the ball seems to be up in the air forever. It comes down and magically lands in Tyreek Hill's arms. I think you'll really get to see just how elite Patrick Mahomes can be. Because some people seem to forget that last year after that slow start. But moving on to the last one, we have Russell Wilson having some trouble in Denver to start off. He loses to his former team and barely is able to beat the lowly Texans. So fans are kind of whispering he might be a little bit toxic, a little bit stuck up. Do you think the Broncos should have passed on him and tanked this year for the first pick? Would that be a better strategy than Russell Wilson? Buying it or denying it that should be the strategy?
I will be denying.
Okay. Yeah.
I still have
Bit of a wild one there.
I have more belief in Russell Wilson. I mean, that franchise has been starved for a good QB for so long. Back to when Peyton Manning played for them, and not even in his last year did he play well.
Yeah, that's true.
So I believe when they had the opportunity to get Russell Wilson, I still think they made the right choice for their roster.
All right, and that wraps it up. And now we have a lot of predictions to get to for week number 3. It's already here, week number 3. It goes by so fast, but that's part of what makes the NFL so great. Now we got Thursday night game, a divisional game between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cleveland Browns. This is in Cleveland. And on ESPN, it says 60% of people are with the Steelers in this game, which I really don't see the logic in that. They just dropped a game with the Patriots, got awful lucky against the Bengals. But I guess people are a bit low on the Browns after that loss to the Jets. And hoping to get some more picks right this week than we did last week. So what are our overall records? They're not good to start.
I am 14-17, and Rob is 13-18.
Oh, awful. We apologize. Okay, we will pick it up. I promise that.
Disclaimer: Scott and Rob have never claimed to be professionals at this, and you should not listen to anything they say.
Yeah, yes, that is true. Although last year I was picking on a professional level. Okay, Scott can attest to that.
He was a very good year in pick 'em.
Yeah, this year is it's really hard. I don't know. Maybe I'm over analyzing everything, but it just seems like just every game I just have a tough time with it. But pretty easy decision for me, at least in this game. I'm gonna go with the Cleveland Browns to beat the Steelers at home.
I will go with Cleveland as well.
Yeah, love the running attack. They're gonna shred that Pittsburgh defense.
And as I've brought up in both episodes so far, do not believe in the Steelers whatsoever.
I don't know about that. I think it'll come down to some weird field goal, as it often does with these division games. So it may come down to the final seconds of the game, but I think the Browns will win. And then we have the 1:00 window on Sunday. What an awesome matchup, guys! Houston Texans against Chicago Bears. This ought to be a barn burner. Who do you have winning this one?
I have the Houston Texans.
Yeah, I do as well. Although 82% of people on ESPN are picking the Bears. Why? I have no idea.
Kind of a shocking number.
Yeah.
Maybe their Week 1 win has really stuck with them. But still, even going into this season, I would have them as comparable teams, thinking both would be in the basement. But I've liked what I've seen from Houston so far, looking more competent than I thought, perhaps.
Yeah, coming out of the gate for sure.
So I'd like their chances versus a Chicago team here.
Yeah. They just feel like kind of more of a togetherness than the Bears. The Bears kind of just feel like a mess at this point, but maybe that's just me. So yeah, it's both going with the Texans. Now we move on to a little bit more of exciting of a game. We got the Las Vegas Raiders and the Tennessee Titans. Both these teams starting off 0-2, which is a bit on the surprising side. Who are you picking for this game?
I have the Las Vegas Raiders.
As do I.
For a third consecutive week. Oh, no.
Yeah. Well, hey, we're high on the Raiders, okay? But, yeah, I mean, they ought to get this one against the Titans. So whatever team here loses, they'll be 0-3. So there's going to be some pressure on whoever loses this one. But I think the Titans fans kind of recognize that their team isn't as good as it has been. And this is going to kind of be like a rebuild on the fly type of year. That's what it feels like for the Titans.
Yeah, absolutely does. I mean, just being crushed by Buffalo this week.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like things are looking up right there.
No, they don't stack up against. I mean, like look at their roster. It speaks for itself.
And losing the Giants. But on the other hand, you have the Raiders.
Oh, very
lost two very close games. Just really gave one up there to Arizona that they should have won. They were really in it with the Chargers.
Yeah, crushing. And this is their year. Like this is the most talent they've had in a while.
Absolutely.
And so the pressure is on there. Like, and Josh McDaniels has not had great success as a head coach. He's trying to change the narrative on that, but an 0-2 start is not what he pictured. But I think they will turn around against the Titans. I think they match up pretty well against them. And then we got a 1:00 game, which is not going to turn out to be as good of a game as I first thought, but it's the Chiefs and the Colts. And I have the Kansas City Chiefs beating the Colts, and I think they probably will blow them out.
I also have the Chiefs defeating the Colts.
Yeah. Two teams just going in opposite directions right now. But probably still division favorites, ironically.
Yeah, the Colts definitely still have a chance to get together. And as we said, as well full Tennessee is. I mean,
yeah.
Even with Jacksonville getting one last week and Houston being what they are, the Colts should still be favorites in my mind, even with the lackluster start to the season they've had.
Yeah, I think that's the weakest division in football, in my opinion. I think it surpassed the NFC least.
I would agree.
Because, the Eagles are better than I thought. The Giants are kind of rising. The Commanders are The Cowboys are But, I don't know, it's a bit more exciting now than it was in the last couple of years. And then we got the game that we kind of touched on a little bit. Buffalo Bills at the Miami Dolphins. Both teams coming off 40-plus point performances. So this should be a very exciting game with a lot of points scored. And who do you have coming out on top?
I have the Buffalo Bills.
As do I. I thought you might pick Miami in this one.
I did make a little proclamation the other night that I believe the Bills and Dolphins will split this season series. I mean, Buffalo has completely had Miami's number in the past few years, winning their last 7 matchups.
Yeah, and destroying them in a few of those.
Yeah. And two teams that are both just flying high coming into week 3 here.
Yeah. Could not be more optimistic. I think both those teams are really loving where they're at. And they both believe that they can win that game. Pretty close line. Bills favored by 4.5. So Yeah, I think the Miami Dolphins really believe that they are contenders. And then we got the next game in the window. It's the Lions and Vikings divisional game. And who do you have winning this game?
I had the Minnesota Vikings.
As did I. I was tempted.
Oh, a little surprising.
Yeah, I was tempted to pick the Lions, but I think the Vikings are kind of like an every other team. Like, one week they're really good, the next week they're the Vikings. So I think they're due to be really good this week.
Definitely some struggles last week versus Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I just couldn't seem to get it done at all.
No, Kirk Cousins just, I don't know what was with him. He could not get the ball to anybody, it seemed like. Like, everyone was either just, covered, like, very well, or just he was not throwing confidently, but just the offense looked stagnant.
And looked like he should have had more picks than he did.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Some of those throws, like, horrible. About 3 in that left corner of the end zone and around the fourth quarter that should have been picked. And eventually it was, but... but they're a better team than the Lions overall, so I think even if they have, one of their down games, they still might be able to come out on top. And then we got the Baltimore Ravens facing the New England Patriots. So Patriots surprising us both and beating the Steelers, while the Ravens choke one to the Dolphins. Who do you have coming out on top in this game?
I had the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, as did I. Yeah, just a better team than the Patriots all around.
Yes, 100%. Very, very talented Baltimore team, and New England, as we've touched on a lot, well, they're nothing on offense.
Yeah,
just
completely nothing.
Nothing there, and they will be a bottom feeder.
Yeah.
This season, and I think we'll prove that out this week as well.
Yeah, I would be shocked if they got to 500.
Yes.
Or, there is no 500, but if they got to 8 wins, I would give Bill Belichick a standing ovation because 2 defensive coordinators, or a defensive coordinator and a previous special teams coordinator, coaching your young quarterback, like, that is just terrible. There's no logic in that.
It does not look like there was a good recipe for success in New England whatsoever.
Yeah, and I think people kind of forget how good Lamar Jackson is, so he's going to remind the world. But then we got the Bengals and the Jets, a bit of an intriguing matchup. Jets are, throwing the ball a lot and generating some pretty good offense, able to pull off a miracle against the Browns last week, and the Bengals just looking awful, to be quite honest, the past 2 weeks.
Yeah. Absolutely incredible comeback by the Jets against the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
Down 13 points in the last 2 minutes. And able to pull it off, just really great.
Right, it was a 99 by statistics by ESPN, 99%, 0.9% chance that the Jets would lose that game after Chubb scored the touchdown. And then after the Jets scored their huge 66-yarder, still an 81% chance they lose the game. Then when they pick up the onside kick, it went from still like a 60% chance they were going to lose. So I don't know, like, complete meltdown there. That's just unacceptable by the Browns, but
for sure.
I still have the Bengals beating the Jets.
So do I.
Yeah, like you said, I think we both believe the Bengals will bounce back eventually.
Yeah, Bengals playing that Cowboys last week. I was hammering the Bengals spread, thinking they could dismantle Cooper Rush and the Cowboys.
Yeah,
but
it's never happened.
That never happened, and ended up losing outright.
Ugh.
Some craziness by the Bengals so far.
But
as I said, I believe that the Bengals are going to have a big turnaround, and this week can start that for them.
Yeah. Cooper Rush, not a bad backup as far as backups go. He had a pretty good performance last year as well. So maybe all hope isn't lost for the Cowboys. But speaking of the NFC East, we have another divisional game between the Eagles and the Commanders. And who do you have winning this one?
I have my upset of the week with the Washington Commanders taking this one.
Oh, really? Okay. Kind of a shocker there. The Eagles looked pretty darn good last night against Minnesota.
Yes, they did. But I believe that the Commanders have some good momentum coming in there, and their defensive line can really put a hurting on Hurts.
I saw what you did there. But Wentz, he's actually kind of impressed me a little bit. Like, he doesn't look completely lost out there. He's been generating some good stats. He's got a lot of yards, some touchdowns in there.
Surprisingly impressive by Wentz, and a little revenge game for him.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna get it done and hand the Eagles their first loss of the year.
It seems like a while ago, but only 2 years ago he was on the Eagles.
Yep.
But man, that seems like ancient history. And then we have the Saints and the Panthers. Panthers starting off 0-2, bit of a surprise. Saints coming in at 1-1, kind of what they're expected. For at least for me, I do have the Saints winning this game.
As do I.
Yeah, I mean, Panthers just don't look good at all, man. Like, I don't know, Baker Mayfield was my pick for comeback player of the year, but I may want to take that back. Eat my words.
Matt Rule 100% on the hot seat there.
Yeah, oh my gosh. He's got to go.
And New Orleans, last week's pick, I liked them versus the Bucs a lot as they've had their number, and their game ended up being close, but ultimately losing. But I've looked what I've seen so far from New Orleans this year.
Yeah.
And they should be in the wild card chase in the NFC throughout the season.
And they didn't have Alvin Kamara last week, so it wasn't, New Orleans Saints football at its best. Mm-hmm. So a bit of, kind of an encouraging factor for the Saints fans out there. And then we got the 4 o'clock window starting with the Jacksonville Jaguars visiting the Los Angeles Chargers. And I imagine we both have the Chargers winning this game?
That would be correct.
Okay. Yeah, I thought you might do something stupid there. So, yeah. Chargers looked pretty good against the Chiefs. There was a lot of opportunities for them to win that game, but couldn't do it. I haven't lost any confidence in the Chargers, though. I still think they will win this division, and they should roll the Jaguars this week.
So do I. They're definitely a top contender in the AFC, and will continue to prove it here, and they should be able to take advantage of a lowly Jacksonville being on the rise, but still a lowly team.
Yeah. They won their guaranteed game of the year versus Indianapolis and Jacksonville. All right, now we got the Los Angeles Rams against the Cardinals. Should be exciting offensive matchup. People are very low on the Cardinals this year, it seems like, but pulled off an impressive win over the Raiders. Who do you have winning this divisional battle?
I have the Los Angeles Rams.
Yes, I do as well. And people seem to be low on the Rams too, which I never understood, but they're looking like a good team. I feel like it took them a little bit last year. It took them a little while to kind of really look like a legit contender, and I think that's kind of just how it goes with some teams. You see a lot of teams getting off to slower starts, like Tom Brady in his years with the Patriots. They always kind of started off a bit slow, and they got hot towards the end. I feel like teams that really started off strong, I don't know, maybe they're just using everything they got right away, and their really good football is maybe already predicted by the end of the year. But, we'll see. But, for teams that started off a little mediocre, no need to worry. The Rams are going to be just fine.
It is always about winning games at the right time.
Yeah, and sustainability.
Yep.
Speaking of winning games, 2 teams that won't win very many this year, the Falcons and Seahawks, squaring off against each other. So the crowd's pretty split on this game. Who do you got?
I have the Seattle Seahawks. All
right, I have the Atlanta Falcons. So Seahawks are 1-1, but they look bad, or at least worse than the Falcons. I think the Falcons' offense is pretty exciting to me. I mean, they got scored 27 against the Rams, and they almost beat the Saints. So I don't know. They're kind of a fun team to watch as far as bad teams go. But I could see this game going either way, to be quite honest.
I liked a lot what I saw from Seattle against Denver. And, Atlanta, I just don't see a lot of offensive weapons there. But Kyle Pitts is great and all. But
Drake London.
Yeah, and Drake
showing
London.
some flashes.
I've seen some from him. But I believe that Seattle can take this one.
Yeah. This is kind of my upset of the week, I guess you could say, the Falcons. Then we got America's game of the week between the Green Bay Packers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Battle of the Bays. And Packers don't have a great history going into Tampa Bay. They got smacked the last couple times, including a heartbreaking loss in the NFC Championship game. So who do you have coming out on top?
I have the Green Bay Packers.
All right, so initially I was going to choose Tampa Bay, but I really liked what the Packers showed last week, so I also have the Packers winning this game.
A lot of things going on in Tampa Bay there. Mike Evans will be suspended for this game.
Yep.
As well as I believe Chris Scott will be in doubt. a lot of banged up receivers there in Tampa, and I think that Green Bay can take advantage of this. I mean, they've shown that their run game can really take over and control the clock on Tampa and just run it out on them.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And if Tampa can't move it down the field to their receivers, I think Green Bay is going to just hog the clock all night long.
Yeah, if they can do that and keep Tom Brady off the field, yeah, that's a winning formula. But one thing I want to just briefly touch on with the Packers is that, the last couple of years they've had some really good teams, and just every so often they just tend to get smacked. And this is kind of a thing you saw when Matt LaFleur started coaching the team, who's done a great job in my opinion. But there's just something about they're too, they have a regimen, they have a routine, and they have a game plan. And it feels like whenever that gets kind of knocked out, whenever they get smacked at the beginning of a game, whether it be an interception, a fumble, or really anything that just knocks them off their game plan, they just have no ability to come back. And as we all know, good teams, great teams, they always have a good comeback. And I don't know, it kind of feels like they're unable to regain their footing and reestablish their game plan. So hopefully that is kind of gone away with this year, but it's going to be something that I'm watching for all year long. And now we have the San Francisco 49ers and the Denver Broncos. And so San Francisco suffered a crushing loss, losing their starting quarterback Trey Lance out for the year with broken ankle, broken fibula. And they got a tough game going into Denver. Who do you have coming out on this one?
I believe the 49ers will prevail in this one.
Yeah, as do I. The Broncos have not looked good so far.
Yeah, they definitely have not lived up to expectations the Broncos have. And Jimmy G, everyone knows, is a very capable quarterback.
Yeah.
And I think we'll be able to right ship in San Francisco and lead them over Denver this week.
I think, you probably obviously don't feel this way. We were talking about it earlier, but I think the injury actually helps them for this year. I think they're going to be better off this year with Jimmy G as opposed to Trey Lance learning, the game. As for the long term, it obviously doesn't help anything, but that's kind of the reason why they drafted Trey Lance. But I think in the near future, this team is better with Jimmy G, certainly for this year, in my opinion.
I mean, that can be hard to disagree with. I mean, we didn't see anything earth-shattering from Trey Lance's first games.
Yeah.
But I've obviously always been a big Trey Lance believer. But I always knew that in the back of my mind, too, that you may be better off with Jimmy Garoppolo this year than Trey Lance. But for the future, you need to have Trey Lance getting that kind of opportunity to know if he's the guy.
Yeah, exactly. And this is just another year they're going to have to wait, which could be, precious time off from their, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle. These guys don't last forever. So, it hurts for sure if you're a 49er fan. But at least you're a contending team. How many teams can say that, they're just like as good as they were when their starting quarterback was playing when they had their backup coming in? Not many, if any. So, I mean, backup quarterbacks are really important. Injuries happen. So, pretty lucky that Jimmy Garoppolo was not traded. And then we got the Monday night game between the Cowboys and the New Jersey Giants. Cowboys without Dak Prescott, Cooper Rush, but more than capable. Speaking of good backups, so who do you have winning this game? Should be close.
I have the New York Giants in this one.
As do I, yeah. I like this team with Brian Daboll as the coach.
And we touched on this game a little bit last week as we believe that the Giants could actually have a pretty good chance to start off 4-0 here in this one.
Yeah.
And take advantage of Prescott-less Cowboys there. I mean, Cowboys and Cooper Rush taking a win versus Cincinnati, but I believe will come back to earth here in this game and not see quite as much offensive production. And Giants, who have been on a roll and seen some really good momentum in this one, I think they're going to be able to squeak out a win versus Dallas, but I believe will be a very close game still.
Yes, I completely agree. And the Giants, their next two games are easier than their first two. They beat the Titans. They beat who did they just beat last
the Panthers.
Panthers. And now they got Cowboys and the Bears. So I think they're better than the Cowboys and Bears at this point. And they should be favored in both those matchups. All right, so that wraps up Week 1's picks. And now Scott is going to give you his premium bets of the week, his parlays. And what have you got out there, Scott, for your bets?
So my Week 3 3-team parlay, I have these three teams all winning outright. I have the Las Vegas Raiders, the Houston Texans, and the Green Bay Packers.
All right, you can count on that to happen. Betting on Vegas, never a bad idea.
And the Packers being my only underdog this week, as opposed to my three last week. My parlay didn't go quite so last week, only winning one of 3 legs. Actually, I'm sorry, I take it back. Houston is also an underdog in this one at plus 2.5, and then the Raiders being favored at minus 2.5. So my $10 parlay here can win me $72 here.
Oh, that's smoking. That is smoking. See that? I can't believe the Bears are actually favored in this one.
Yes, they are by 2.5 points.
Wow. See, that is just a juicy one. Those are the bets you live for. Although I feel like we said that about Pittsburgh against the Patriots and they disappointed us.
Yes.
But I mean that is wow. Okay, Vegas is doing it. Bet on that now before that changes because I got a feeling those might change. Especially the Tampa Bay one. I don't know if they updated it yet with the Mike Evans thing, but if they did, what's Tampa Bay? What's the line on the Packer game?
1.5 Tampa Bay is favored by.
Okay. Yeah, it's just kind of a home field thing probably. Hopefully the Packers I think they should go down there probably like today or tomorrow. It's just they've had like horrible luck with like Southern California games like San Francisco, LA, and like Southern Florida like with Tampa. They can't make that adjustment for some reason. For whatever reason. It's just that really warm weather and that distance. They just have a hard time adjusting. But hopefully they can find. I don't know if that's just a Matt LaFleur thing or I'd have to check on that. But yeah, I like the Texans. I do have the Texans winning. I had also the Raiders winning and the Packers winning as well. So all right. So that is. I think that's a wrap. Unless there's anything you want to add to this one.
Not for me.
All right, so we are out of here, guys. Hope you have a great weekend. Enjoy all the football action. Hopefully, your team comes out on top, unless they are, the Patriots, the Bears, the Vikings, the Dolphins, or the Jets. But other than that, good luck this week. And this is Mark My Words with Rob.
And Scott.
And we are tuning out.